In Latin, there are two different types of adjectives. There are first and second declension adjectives that we're going to be learning now, and third declension adjectives, which we'll be learning later on. Okay, so as the name sort of implies, first and second declension adjectives probably means that they're using first and second declension endings, which is true. So just to start, what is an adjective, and what, the way that we would want to say this technically is that an adjective is a word that modifies a noun. Okay, and we want to use this word modifies. That's what the book prefers, and that's kind of what we should use, because describing, yeah, that's technically true, but I think it doesn't do the whole thing justice. So modifies is the word that we want to use, a word that modifies a noun, or a word that describes a noun. What does an adjective look like? So in English, we might say something like happy, tired, red, or even numbers like 7. That those are all adjectives. And if you put those with any word, they're not going to change, right? You could say, 7 men, 7 dogs, 7 houses. It's always just 7. Same thing with red or any of these other ones. They don't change. And in Latin, even in the forms of an adjective like meus, uh, um, even in something like this, you can tell we have this us, set of endings. A Latin adjective is going to change. Okay, so that's the important thing, is Latin adjectives change, English ones don't, right? And that makes it a little bit harder. Um, how they're given in the dictionary, okay? Latin adjectives are always given in this form, like magnus, magnum, magnum. And what you're given is you're given the nominative singular form, and you're given that for the masculine, which would be magnus here, the feminine, which would be magna, and then magnum is your neuter form. Okay, so remember there are 3 genders in Latin: masculine, feminine, neuter, and that's what you're given here, and it's indicated by these us, endings. And we'll see every adjective that's first or second declension is going to have these us, endings. Now moving on, there's one important rule to know, the adjective rule for Latin. And really all this is saying is that adjectives in Latin, they go with a noun, right? They go with another word, and they have to agree with that noun or be the same in 3 different ways. And those 3 ways are gender, number, and case. Okay, so they have to be the same in gender, number, and case. This is boxed in and written in gold letters, because it's really important to know. You should know this. This is the big important thing here. So gender, we have masculine, feminine, or neuter. Number, singular or plural. And then we have all the cases, nominative, genitive, dative, so on. Okay, so an adjective has to be the same as the noun it's going with in these 3 ways. If you notice, this says nothing about endings. The endings don't have to be the same, just these 3 characteristics: gender, number, case. Know this rule, write it down, live it. Okay. So, here's where the issue comes in. Adjectives have to account for 3 genders: masculine, feminine, neuter, 2 numbers, singular, plural, and 6 cases, or 5 once we stop talking about vocative. That totals 36 forms. That's a lot to learn for just the word magnus, magna, magnum, right? Oh, there's only 3 up there. Why are we worrying about all of these other ones? Well, there is some good news. And the good news is that these forms, magnus, magna, magnum, here, use the endings that we already know. Us, okay? If it's masculine, that's just your second masculine chart. If it's feminine, it's just the first declension chart. Neuter is the second neuter chart, which we're getting in chapter 4, so don't worry about it right now. Okay? But we already know these endings, so it's going to be super easy. Like the feminine form, if a noun's feminine and you need to make great agree with it, the great girl, right? Okay, we already know these endings: a, ae, ah, ah, plural, ae, aurum, is, as, is, I, right? First declension set of endings, super easy. We already know it. Don't need to worry about it anymore. Second masculine, what we're learning now. Magnus, E, O, O. It'd be an E here because it's a US, so it would go to an E. And then I, aurum, is, os, is, I. Okay. That makes it super easy. If it's a masculine noun, use the masculine chart. If it's a feminine noun, use the feminine chart. Just uses first and second declension endings. For second neuter, we don't know that yet. For the neuter chart, we'll get that next chapter. I'm just going to fill it in real quick, just for sake of completeness, before we could keep talking. And there we go. So, why is this all important? Well, knowing this chart, and I'm probably not going to make you decline an adjective fully like this, but why is it important is because we need to know these forms for when we make an adjective agree with a noun. So just looking at some of our examples here, we have puellam, agris, porta, nautai. Okay, let's just look here. Puellam. Well, we know that puella is feminine, so that gets rid of our gender. Number, it's singular and it's accusative. Okay. If we did agris, or agris, sorry, agris is masculine. It's plural, and right now we'll just say that that's ablative. Okay. Porta, long A. Porta is feminine. That's singular, and that is ablative as well. And then nautai is, and right now we're just going to, nautai is definitely masculine. I know that this can be a multiple endings, but let's just say that for right now that this is genitive and that it is singular. Okay, so we want to make great agree with these, which means that you have to look at your word, know what declension it is, where these endings come from within that declension, and be able to give me this information. This is also why we learn the gender for words, is because we need it for adjectives. So if we wanted to make puellam and magnus agree, we would have to look to the feminine singular accusative form. So go to your singular chart, feminine and accusative, and we're looking at magnam, am. Right? So going there, and we just make it am, magnam. These have the same endings. Because this is first declension, and because it's feminine, this is also using those first declension endings. So that helps. If we go to agris, right, make it masculine, plural, accusative, going to the plural, masculine, and, or I'm sorry, ablative form, it's is again, magnis, right? So is. This is second declension, and because it's masculine, this is also second declension. So those endings match. Porta, long A, feminine, singular, ablative. I'm going to let you guess here. It's a long A. Right? This is first declension. This is feminine, so it's also first declension. Times where it gets tricky is something like this. Nauta is first declension. Okay, it's going to use first declension endings, but any adjective that goes with it has to be masculine, which means we're going to use the second declension chart. So going to the masculine genitive singular, what form do we have? We have magni. So if we said of the great sailor, it'd be poetai magni. And that agrees completely in gender, number, and case. The three things that we need, it agrees. It's good to go. The endings do not necessarily need to be the same. And that's the important thing. We're eventually going to get third declension nouns that need, differences that are going to be even more different. We're going to get a word like, reges. And if we wanted to say, that's the word for kings. And if we wanted to say great kings with it, we would say reges magni. Okay, and that's nominative plural, and that's nominative plural and masculine, so that agrees. So the biggest takeaway in this video is to make sure that you realize that the adjective rule of agreeing in gender, number, case does not mean endings. Okay, it does not mean the same endings. Okay, it is possible that that's the case, but it's not always true.